do believe there are some that are hopeful we're going to get some federal dollars in. I believe that's important that we have some type of plan B. There's been dialogues preliminarily with the Senate trying to get the other 7 months of the budget worked out. And one of the things that I caution listeners to is that state government may just not be able to spend as much as it did last year. For some, that's probably a frightening thought. But at the end of the day, what are you doing at your homes right now? You've had to make adjustments. You've kept that clunky car running longer than you may have wanted to because you haven't had the same paycheck or you're working from home. And state government, I believe, has the ability to trim some of their own costs. I've asked the chairman of appropriations to consider having like little mini appropriations hearings again with the different departments, find out who's actually coming back into their offices, find out who are working from home. And frankly, what services have you been doing remotely, as in IT or even billing, that maybe can continue that way? Government doesn't have to keep doing the same thing over and over and over, year to year to year, just because that's what we've always done. This is the time to look for efficiencies. And if we're going to have to make some cuts, we need to do it inside first.
What are some things that need to be finished in this next budget that weren't taken care of in the first part of it?
Well, as I said, we funded predominantly our higher education, state-related universities. We funded our public schools completely as we would have otherwise, but a lot of them has to do with different departments within the Commonwealth. There's a lot of different outside agencies that receive some funding from us. There are a lot of, I guess they call them 501(c)(3)s, whether it's Epilepsy Foundation, Sickle Cell Anemia, and different associations that have received some funding from us over the years. And frankly, the end of July is our new barometer. I'm looking for those numbers of where our revenue will be. Historically, we usually use the end of April because people who pay quarterly tax payments file them, and we get a better idea of where that's going. A lot of that money comes in through car dealerships. So a lot of it just has to do with different entities that receive funding from us. Some of the grant programs that we may historically been able to fund will probably be funded at less level. It's about taking care of the most critical needs first. And at the end of the day, as I said, we may not be spending the same amount of money we did last year. And to me, that's prudent budgeting, but we will do our very best to help as many people as we can with the money we have. All the more reason we need to get businesses open, get people working, to try to keep that money flow. Because the last thing I'll say to that, it's not completing this budget, but it's the impact on next year's budget during the 2021 budget cycle.
Now, the tax deadline was extended to July 15th, and we've passed by that a few weeks ago. Do you have a better picture of the tax revenue situation now?
I actually have been waiting to have a meeting with this appropriations chairman, which was actually going to take place a little bit later today, to see where that is. There has been some improvements. I've actually tried to talk to some of my local businesses. I've talked to a couple of car dealers, which is where we get a lot of sales tax revenue. And some are actually doing pretty good through this. But people's overall spending has been down. If you look at different reports over consumers, and even some of our young people are being a little more cautious. They're putting money away. They're not spending so much. And as I said, people are choosing not to make new purchases as much. They had money coming in from the federal government. The $600 additional fee money that had been coming in has been helpful to those families, but not something we could sustain forever. And the last part of that is we have a lot of employers who have said to us, it's getting hard for us to get our workers to come back to work because you're paying them more money to stay home, and we need them back here. At the end of the day, a strong economy and a healthier community, I believe, is people back to work, collecting a paycheck, and having that pride of taking that home to their families and choosing how they want to spend that and supporting the rest of the community.
Now, the Department of State recently released a report on the June 2nd primary election, and the report included a few recommendations, one of which was that we'll require counties to accept mail-in ballots that were postmarked by the election and that were received by the Friday after the election. Is that something that your membership would support?
The last 3 weeks, there's been actually a lot of focus on that. Our state government chairman, Garth Everett's doing a wonderful job. He and I've had multiple dialogues on this. There's actually a dialogue going on with my chief of staff and some other members currently with the Senate to see where they are on these proposals. Timing is of the essence. At the end of the day, we want to have a safe election process. A lot of people have raised concerns. I heard it again yesterday out about the community these drop-off boxes. How do I know my ballot is going to be safe? How do I know the counties are watching those? Where are they going to be? We are trying to review all types of elements, not just a few things in that report, to make sure that we can ensure the best safe election process possible and make sure our voters have that confidence, whether they're voting in person or they're voting by mail-in ballot.
Now, you mentioned the time is of the essence, and we are just a few months away from the election. Do you expect these bills, or do you expect bills to be proposed, or this to work its way through the process within the next month or so?
I intend, if there is an agreement between all the different entities, whether it's administration, because the administration has also weighed in on some things that they would like, and the Senate, if that can come to fruition, I would try to bring people back in late August to do that, try to get things moving. But we want to make sure we have a good product that makes things better and safer, not something that complicates things. As we know, there was some chaos in the primary in different areas. There were people who said they didn't even receive ballots and others that got turned away. It's important to have a good, safe election cycle, and we want to make sure we make improvements to the system.
Well, we've been speaking with Pennsylvania House Majority Leader Kerry Benninghoff. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure, and thank you for taking time and sharing these thoughts with your listeners. Have a great day.
You're watching PCN, award-winning television.
The Pennsylvania Supreme